Look at this.
Bring me his head.
Now, compare it to this.
Why did you throw your life away for this?
Don't hurt him! Let go of him. Wait, Yokel, do as I say.
On one side, we have the ultimate deconstruction of honor, a good man punished with death for his rigid morality, his head hoisted onto a spike for daring to believe in truth. On the other, a simple hedge knight risking his life for a moral absolute, and the narrative actually rewards him for it. You might think these scenes belong to entirely different philosophical universes, but they were born from the exact same mind. This is the fascinating contradiction of George R.R. Martin.
It's a simple truth I found. Knowledge is power.
Seize him.
For decades, A Song of Ice and Fire has been celebrated as the pinnacle of fantasy realism. It operates like a postmodernist critic of the fantasy genre itself, stripping away the shiny armor to reveal the rot underneath. In art history, we would align this mainline series with the gritty, cynical movements of naturalism, where objective truth is viewed with deep suspicion and human beings are portrayed merely as animals driven by base instincts. It is a world where power is the only true currency.
Power is power.
And morality is portrayed as a naive, almost childish liability. But then we get the Hedge Knight. Suddenly, the aesthetic and narrative shift dramatically. We leave the postmodern decay and enter something resembling neoclassical heroism. Here, form and function align perfectly with duty, honor, and a clear, unyielding moral code. It is an artistic reversion to the romantic ideal where a knight actually acts like a knight, standing tall against the corrupt elite. The moral philosopher Alistair MacIntyre, in his seminal work After Virtue, argues that modern society has lost its moral compass because we have abandoned a shared framework of virtue. He suggests that, without a unified understanding of what it means to be a good human, morality just devolves into competing personal preferences and endless unresolvable arguments. MacIntyre believes true virtue requires a narrative unity of life, a commitment to a role and its inherent duties, much like the classical heroes of old. In Game of Thrones, we see MacIntyre's nightmare perfectly realized.
Let him go, or I will cut your wife's throat.
I'll find another.
The characters exist in a fractured moral landscape, where virtue, like honor and trust, are actively weaponized against those who hold them. The writers create a world that rigorously enforces moral relativism. To survive Westeros, one must adapt, compromise, and ultimately discard objective morality. And this is where the writer's anchor drops into the abyss of his own making. George R.R. Martin has famously stated his deep distrust of traditional clean heroism. He was shaped by the post-World War II and Vietnam eras, a time that deeply distrusted the good guys versus bad guys narrative that previously dominated American media. He built his legacy on the idea that the human heart in conflict with itself is the only thing worth writing about, and that the will to absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Power, the uses of power, the way power does corrupt us, also the way lack of power corrupts us.
His worldview, as written into Game of Thrones, insists that holding onto a strict moral code is a death sentence. But ironically, his writing betrays his own worldview. By creating Duncan the Tall, Martin crafts a rigid moral code only to break his own cynical rules later.
and the no true knight among you!
Duncan is not a complex, morally grey anti-hero seeking a throne. He is a good man who does the right thing simply because it is right. He does not outsource his morality to institutions, lords, or kings. He embodies the exact moral absolutism that Martin spent thousands of pages meticulously deconstructing. Dunk is Martin's concession. He is the author unconsciously admitting that behind the veneer of cynical realism, there is a desperate, lingering need for the ideal. The bleakness of Westeros is a defense mechanism. Duncan is the vulnerability hiding behind it. Just look closely at how the narrative treats them.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
Ned Stark's strict adherence to a moral code gets his family utterly destroyed. The universe itself seems to mock his honor. But when Dunk strikes a royal prince to protect a helpless puppeteer, the universe does not immediately crush him under its boot. Instead, it bends just enough to accommodate his heroism. Other knights, inspired by his pure, uncompromised virtue, actually rally to his side in the Trial of Seven. Martin, the architect of this cruel, unforgiving world, suddenly allows honor to inspire loyalty rather than just invite brutal betrayal. He cannot help himself. He punishes objective morality in his magnum opus, yet actively rewards it in its prequel. It exposes a fascinating friction within the creator. He wants to show us the world as he genuinely believes it coldly is, but through the simple Hedge Knight, he shows us the world as he perhaps desperately and secretly hopes it could be. And while it might be easy to frame this astounding contradiction as a gotcha, it is more important to point out that this proves something about the human condition that even a moral relativist writer like Mr. R.R. Martin cannot resist. Before we continue, let me just say, why be a guest instead of a housemate? A Mindhouse housemate. I really like giving each video the best production quality I can with my limited resources. So, if you enjoy my work, do consider supporting my channel by gifting me a membership on Patreon or right here on YouTube. It will help a lot with maintaining and improving the quality of my essays. Link is in the description and pinned comment. Also, there you will find exclusive video segments that provide more insights into my mind, available for free on Patreon and to channel members on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I trust we will meet in the Mindhouse. Now let's get back to it. A lot of people may have missed this detail, but in Game of Thrones, despite the swift and unforgiving destruction of the Starks in the beginning, they eventually win. The other families tear themselves apart with their lack of a moral code and brutal approach to life, while the Starks retain the loyalty and love of the North. And as of Season 5, not that I was counting, they appeared to have the most number of family members still alive and happy. That is utterly a miracle when you consider how the earlier seasons went for them. So, for a writer trying to deconstruct morality, the naive, honorable Starks being better off than everyone else kind of defeats the point. In the end, even without having finished the book, George R.R. Martin somewhat already concedes to the objective moral good. And it makes me wonder if this contradiction is why he is yet to finish the books. We live in an era that loves to tear down its myths. We are utterly obsessed with the gritty reboot, the flawed anti-hero, the endless, morally grey area. We have been told repeatedly that deconstruction is the only honest way to look at art, history, and life. But staring endlessly into the abyss is honestly exhausting. When everything is relative and every villain is just a misunderstood victim of circumstance, our moral imagination severely atrophies. We need stories that challenge us, yes, but we also desperately need stories that give us something to aspire to. characters to root for, and satisfying payoffs from those characters achieving their aims. Duncan the Tall reminds us exactly why heroism was invented in the first place, which is why it comes at no surprise to me that people are taking a strong liking to the character and the show. He is a testament to the fact that even the most cynical architects of modern fiction cannot fully extinguish the desire for undeniable, objective good. We need heroism to stay idealized, because without it, we forget what we are supposed to be fighting for when the chips are down. Dunk doesn't ask what is politically safe or what is philosophically nuanced. He asks what is right. And in a world, both fictional and real, that insists on making things hopelessly complicated, it's about time our entertainment got an influx of Sir Dunks. Good, noble characters with clear motivations we can root for, and with them, enjoy the triumph of good over evil.
Is that it?
No, but I'll be in the Mind House if you care to join me.